We are Duck Hunting Fanatics, knee deep in the duck blind. If it flies, it dies. Only Duck Hunting Fanatics know what it feels like to see a brightly colored drake mallard cup its wings and soar towards your decoys. It's what we do, and it's what we love. Duck Hunting Fanatics, with boots on the ground, eyes in the skies reports. And we get it from professional duck guides all across the country. We interview them for their top tips and tricks from their years of experience from the duck hunting blind. This is Duck Hunting Fanatics, and this is Eric Wilkes.
Greetings, friends and fellow duck hunting fanatics. Eric Wilkes here with another episode of Knee Deep in the Duck Blind. And today we have a very special guest for you guys. On the line with us, we have Nathan Huizenga from Huntwise. And so, Nate, fill us in, man. What do you guys got going on for 2022 over at Huntwise?
Oh, man. Seems like it's constantly go, go, go for us. You know, historically, it used to be summertime when we got a little bit more relaxed after turkey season, but you know, as we progress, like everything keeps on building towards the fall. So we're just rocking and rolling, getting some stuff ready to launch out this year, and we're pretty stoked about it. Yeah, I'd be happy talking to you, Eric, man. It's cool what you guys have built, you know, with Duck Hunting Fanatics, and just, yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. Happy to be talking with y'all.
Yeah, man, we're happy to have you on, and thanks for your time. I know our listeners will appreciate it too, and we're going to talk about some hunting stuff, and we're excited here at Duck Hunting Fanatics too. Our community, it's been growing for the last couple of years, and we really started it just as a group of passionate duck hunters who also do marketing. And we thought, well, how can we serve the communities that we like and do things that we're passionate about and let our excitement kind of rub off on a community? And then the idea was to help just some of the, you know, small local guys that have lots of cool products, because we see them all the time. There's tons of cool products that are always coming out into the market, and it's more of a, how can we help the little guy reach a targeted market of duck hunters? And then it sort of took off on a mind of its own, and we started asking what types of content people want to see, and like, oh my gosh, there's this whole like thing. And as it built up, it just continues to go and grow. So we're excited about the future here at Duck Hunting Fanatics, and we're excited to, you know, meet cool people like you, Nate, and talk a little bit about Huntwise and, you know, what you guys are doing. And you know, we really do appreciate it, because if it wasn't for our fans and our listeners and meeting cool people like you that are willing to just jump on with us and just chat about hunting, we wouldn't be able to keep doing this. So again, I want to thank you for your time as well, and thank all listeners for tuning in.
Yeah, it's sort of cool, the power of community. Like, it's such a special, powerful kind of thing that can't be duplicated with the end goal creating community. And if it happens naturally, that's just the best way it happens. And I think that's the way we started off initially. I guess going a little bit of back history about Huntwise. Like, we initially started, Jeff Corder, our founder, he was a busy guy. He had job, family, and just everything else that comes with life. You know, and he was trying to figure out the best time to go hunting, like with his friends. And he has a computer science background, but he was working for a video agency at the time. So he was like traveling, managing family, you know, deadlines, etc. But you know, he grew up hunting, had a passion for hunting. He was like, man, I need to figure out a way to optimize my time. So he just whipped up sort of this kind of the weather algorithm called like Sportsman Tracker, mostly for him and his buddies. Like he said, for that local crew of basically when could they optimize their time. And that's sort of, he created this app, threw around the app store where you could just like create an app and toss it out there. And I think in like short period of time, he had like almost like 250,000 downloads. I was like, I think I have something here. So he spent all of his weekends, evenings, just kept on coding, developing. He did a couple of pitch idea competitions and, you know, raised some money here or there, and eventually grew a team. Like when I started, there was 7 of us. I think there's like 24 of us now. Wow. But yeah, it's sort of crazy over the years just seeing what it's become and how it's grown from Sportsman Tracker to Huntwise. Like we initially were doing fishing and hunting, but we quickly realized we need really focus on one specific thing. That was like for hunting. So that's how Huntwise came about. So yeah, so we're coming from weather algorithm to what we're doing now. So it's been fun to see the evolution of growing from that community to like a tool that, over millions of users have used over the past year. So it's pretty impressive, what we've built as a team. So yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, it sounds like a trip for sure. I don't know too many guys that maybe you have or haven't heard of Huntwise, but I know most hunters have heard of it. They're familiar with it. It is a great tool. I personally use Huntwise. I know countless guys in my local area that also use Huntwise for mapping and, like you said, for weather predictions. And a lot of times there's so many factors guys forget about, things like barometric pressure that do make a difference in terms of animal behavior and movement. So a really cool tool. Now, Nate, I know a lot of guys are going to be curious, did you come from a hunting background, or how did you get started hunting?
Yeah, I guess my story is a little different. Like, fortunately, I was adopted when I was 6 months from Korea. I was lucky enough to be adopted into a hunting family. You know what I mean? Like, so many of us grew up in legacy aspects. Like, my dad took me and my brother out. Like there was hunting camp up in the UP, and we're based out of Michigan, so in the Upper Peninsula. So just grew up hunting as a kid. So fortunate enough to grow up in that kind of family of tradition. But high school, college, I had no friends that hunted, so it was like, Dad, that's your thing. I want to hang with my friends. So I fell out of hunting, and then, gosh, man, then I got something I wanted to get back into, and I got plugged into Huntwise, and it's like, this is perfect. I get to get back to my roots per se when it came to hunting again, being in the outdoors, and I've loved it. It sparked that fire all over for me again. So yeah, over the last few years, I've been fortunate enough to go on some hunts, and it's been fun. So I always say, everyone expects everyone to be an expert hunter, when you work for a hunting company, but I'm like fully transparent, say, hey, I'm learning with everyone else. There's such a wealth of knowledge out there now, especially since I grew up hunting. When I was like 12 and 14, that the game has changed, and there's tools like Huntwise out there to help mitigate and just decrease that knowledge barrier and help people be successful and optimize their time. So it's been fun. It's been fun getting my toes wet and getting back into the saddle per se. It's been awesome.
And I think that's a good point. You said it there and hit the nail on the head, is optimize your time. And I think we're all so busy now, and a lot of it is culture and society too. We're in a very production driven society, and it just requires our time. And then we as humans, naturally, we feel like obligated to that. And because of that, it really, part of hunting, a lot of people have gotten away from it. There was a pandemic, and that made a lot of people get back to those roots, which has been awesome. And so it's been like the dawn of the work from home era, but it's also been the dawn of, hey, let's get back to our roots kind of era, and still maximize our time and optimize our time, as you said earlier. And you said something at the very beginning, before we actually hit the record button on this podcast, and it really caught my attention. It caught my ear. You said something like, be the guide in your pocket. Can you just talk about that for just a second?
Yeah, it's a phrase we started coining in the office more and more. It's like, I feel super fortunate to have a father figure that, taught me, how to hunt and started that passion, and was that, hands-on guide for me per se. But as there's more and more people get into this community that don't necessarily have a father figure. It's like, hey, how can we be the guide for that person who's maybe listened to the Joe Rogan podcast, or just learned about hunting, and then trying to figure it out? And like, there's so many different variables and questions. Like, how can we be that guide for that person to navigate the when and the where? Like, those are two of the biggest questions. Like, where do I go hunting? When do I go hunting? How do I optimize my time? I only have a couple weekends I can ask off of work in the fall, or I have kids, I have other obligations. I have to mitigate my time. So I think that's one thing we're trying to be more and more focused. Like, hey, let's not just help you hunt, but help you learn the tools to hunt that you can maybe learn. You go in the field, you take little bits of knowledge as you keep on going forward, and just learn, develop more and more as a person, and keep on moving along that chain of adventures. And how can we guide people along that journey? And that's something we're pretty passionate about, from whether you're a brand new hunter coming from hunter education, or you're an expert hunter who's been hunting, all lower 48, all 50 states per se. And just like, there's still different elements of new adventure out there for every single person. Every time you step in the woods, something new can happen. I think that's the adventure, that's the chase everyone looks forward to when they start hunting a new property, or every fall you see trail cam photos start picking up, and I don't know, the migration patterns change, and you're just like, all right, let's figure this out. It's a puzzle. It's a constantly changing puzzle, and like, we can guide people in the right direction, and we've done our job.
Yeah, and that's awesome. No, and like I said, I just picked up on that. I'm like, you know what, that's a really cool saying, and it really is. It comes down to the root of it is just optimizing your time, and which really you can almost say optimizing your opportunity, right? And being effective in the field and having a good opportunity to take an animal regardless of what you're hunting. Now, let's talk about Huntwise just real quick. How would you leverage Huntwise for duck hunters? Because, we got a lot of guys, everybody here, it's Duck Hunting Fanatics, right? Yep. I realize a lot of guys will hunt big game, they'll hunt upland game, they hunt various game, but let's talk specifically how you would leverage it and how it would apply to a duck hunter.
Yeah, I think a couple of big things, like, I'm not necessarily unlike deer per se, where there's a traditional bedding patterns, etc. Like, the migration sort of change. It depends on what the farmers are doing, what the weather conditions, like how much rain, like our fields flooded or not. So you're not going that same kind of maybe same property, keep on hunting regular. There's some places that are like that, but with Huntwise, with our mapping and landowner information, it really helps people find the opportunities of calling up a landowner. So one thing with our maps, like, if you click on a landowner name, we pull in public information of the phone number of the landowner, so you can give them a ring. So, like, I have a couple of buddies who are out west who do duck hunting, and they constantly are calling farmers to get permission. Like, hey, I saw there's a flock of snow geese. Like, can we come bang them up? And the farmer's like, yeah, come by, shoot them all. So right, I think exactly. One thing with our tool is just like having not just the boundaries to make sure you're legal where you're hunting, but also having the landowner information, their phone number if it's publicly available, to basically help ease that ability of knocking on doors. So you can maybe give them a call. Same thing for weather. I think that plays a factor into waterfowl hunting. It's just like understand what the weather is going to be like. So I think that's our two main tools that we offer with Huntwise is the where to go hunting and the when to go hunting. So if you know that there's a lot of cloud coverage, or if it's been cold, or it's heating up a little bit, that maybe some water in the fields has thawed and broken open, that ducks, geese are landing into those spots, that you can try to pinpoint the days that might be the most optimal, or even just like trying to help people optimize their time, finding locations where to go and calling those landowners up.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the key is where and when, and if you can start to pinpoint that. And the cool part is, like, the Huntwise app, I know it ties the two together, and I think that's really important. So you can really drop little pins and stuff and mark the areas that you want to check out and maybe potentially hunt. So definitely a significant advantage there. So if you're thinking about using it for duck hunting, and then obviously, I mean, you can really use it for, I know a lot of guys use it for whitetail hunting. They mark out stand locations and food plots and trail cameras and stuff like that for the, if you're a whitetail hunter or the big game hunters. So it really does double as a tool, and you can really use it for year round, regardless of what's in season. So, for example, I know a lot of guys that duck hunt, they either deer hunt, or in the spring, a lot of them, they'll turkey hunt. And so it really is a multi-use, multi-season tool. It's not just one one game animal over another. You can use it for anything, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fun. Like, we have ideal wind conditions for each of your stands. We call windcast. Or basically you preset your ideal winds, or you can at least see the wind direction for your stand. So with waterfowl, you can see, hey, the wind direction is coming from the east. You know how the ducks or the geese are going to fly into the field and land, so you can set up your blinds accordingly. Just knowing where the wind is, how it's going to change throughout the day. We have this little scent drift where it shows the wind direction as it changes by hour, to really help people know, like, all right, I need to get my blinds set for this time, and when the wind changes, we might have to quick road to another field, or maybe change up our flock decoy situation. So a couple of multi-use kind of tools there for waterfowl and for obviously whitetail hunters.
Yeah, and that's awesome. Tell us a little bit about how you got hooked up. How'd you come to get involved with Huntwise?
Oh, yeah,
I have to ask, 'cause I'm always very curious, because these types of things are, I mean, it sounds like a really cool place to work, and a lot of tech, and, like you said earlier, changing the game in terms of how people hunt and how they approach hunting, because it's that whole be the guide in your pocket. So how'd you come to get involved and start working with them?
Yeah, I can say it's just being, right place, right time. No, I guess it's just being fortunate. So before this, I was working at a previous startup company. We made like ruggedized coffee makers. It was for job sites.
Wow.
The company's called Ox, OXX. I was living in Colorado at the time. I knew I wanted to move back home to Michigan, and I reached out to a buddy who I've been friends with since we were, kids. And he was part of the entrepreneurship club of our local university in Grand Rapids. And I reached out to him and said, hey, are there any companies I should reach out to? Because I wanted to have a job lined up before I made that move.
Sure.
And he was like, oh, you should check out this company called Ox. And so I did. I reached out to the founder there, and this guy, Spencer, who was like the head of marketing at Ox, reached back out. I had a phone call with him, had a Skype. Had a FaceTime with him in the back break room of the enterprise rent-a-car I was working at in Colorado. And it's like, yeah, I'll hire you. So I started working at Ox doing customer service there. And Spencer was there for about, I think, 8 months. And then he started working with this company called Sportsman Tractor. And of course, I was bummed to see him leave, but stayed in contact with him. I was with Ox for about 3 years. And then it was like, I was getting to the point where I wanted to change. So I reached out to Spencer. We got lunch. He was like, hey, we're doing some cool stuff here at Sportsman Tractor at Huntwise. Think you'd be a great fit. What do you think? It's like, yeah, it's hunting. It's something I want to get back into. It's something cool. Let's do it. So honestly, just keeping up with that relationship I had with Spencer, and just started, my first day was going to a trade show called ATA. Down in Indianapolis. And so I got picked up in the car. I had no real previous experience with the app. It's like, all right, download the app on the drive down there. We're going to give you a quick 101 of Huntwise, and we're going to be talking to a bunch of industry leaders at this trade show. It's like, okay, so it's drinking from a fire hose. Yeah, so
throw you to the wolves. There you go.
Right to the wolves. Yeah, I have no experience. I have very little experience. It's been probably about over a decade since I last hunted. So I'm just like going there and it's like keeping my mouth shut. I'm just trying to learn as much as possible. So started really taking over our customer experience with Huntwise, like listening to our users and figuring out what was not working, what was working, and how can we make the best tool set for the people that, had requests for certain features. I think that's the one thing I've been always cognizant of, like how can we make this the best tool to help people with their time? Mm-hmm. And that's what developed my role from like not just doing customer service and then more of our partnerships. And now I work with all of our marketing partnerships. So all of our other partner brands in the app, we have a little gear section where people can get, discounts on products and we almost have 100 brands in that program now. But yeah, starting those relationships up from cold and, showing them the value of connecting with our Huntwise users. So yeah, I always joke that anything relationship, people focus, that's what I'm about. I'm not a developer, not barely know Excel. And I can make a pretty nice flow chart here or there, but my focus is definitely on the relationships and people. So yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun.
That's awesome. So for those of you that are listening, if you were listening there, you said anything that's relationship wise with people. So if you guys got like a update or like a cool new feature or something that you'd like to see maybe changed in the app for the better that would help improve it, I'm going to guess, Nate, you'd be the guy, right?
Yeah. No, shoot on over. I'll make sure I get to our teams and then written to the right hands and see what we can do. But yeah, shoot us a DM on our Instagram and stuff like that too. We're always trying to we're only as good as our feedback. We're only as good as our users. We're only as good as people who are boots on the ground using our product. This is all for you guys. This isn't for self-glorification. We can only be as good as as we listen to you guys, our users. So that's one thing I'm super cognizant we all are. We try to keep that at the forefront of our mind that this isn't for us. This is for people. Being cognizant of that. So yeah, man, it's been fun. It's been fun to see where we've grown and what we're doing, and hopefully get some cool stuff in the works for this fall.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to seeing it and look forward to, following along. And again, you can see I got for those of you that are watching, it's just Instagram.com/Huntwise app. And on Facebook, it's the same, Facebook.com/Huntwise app. And then obviously Huntwise.com. If you want to go out and download the app, you can search them on the App Store as well. So again, Nate, my friend, thank you so much for being here and just chatting a little bit about Huntwise and how it can help duck hunters, and sharing a little bit about your background and your story and how you got all hooked up. And so we appreciate that, and want to thank our listeners once again as well.
Absolutely. Appreciate having me on and taking the time for me to sort of talk about Huntwise. Appreciate it a ton.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks again, everyone, for listening in. We'll see you on the next episode of Duck Hunting Fanatics, where we get knee deep in the duck line. We'll talk to y'all soon. Everybody have a great day.
We are Duck Hunting Fanatics, knee deep in the duck blind. If it flies, it dies.